What's up, everybody? I'm James. Welcome to Mechanical Mayhem, and welcome to the MechWarrior 5 Clans Flashstorm DLC story-driven campaign playthrough. This is where we will be checking out all the cutscenes, listening to the banter, and I'll be going over things pertaining to what's going on, the greater scheme of the Battletech lore, and all stuff in between for this really fun DLC campaign. We are one of the Silverroot Keshik, and I'll be doing this campaign with custom builds on expert difficulty. So, with that in mind, strap yourselves in and prepare for drop.
Commands, thank you for joining me. Our jump procedure is complete. Arrival in the Alshane system is confirmed.
Are we not to begin landing on the ground, Sekar?
Neg. Gustav, fill them in.
There are old Starleak orbital shipyards orbiting the planet right here. They were retrofitted into orbital gun platforms built into the outer perimeter of the main space station.
And they are operational?
Very much so.
Surely they detected our jump signatures. Why did they not blast us upon entry?
We were able to obtain the station's operational systems log. It outlines the dates for their systems reboot cycles.
We timed our jump for the station's sensors reboot. Next is their weapon systems. That gives us a window to disable the orbital cannons before the rest of our ships arrive and get hammered.
It sounds like we will be forming a boarding party.
Alf. Bravo. You will insert onto the station at this access point here.
Ship schematics show this is the fastest route to the outer perimeter of the station. You override a network of sealed gates weaving in and out of the station to reach the target cannons. Once they detect your presence, they will lock down the doors.
Got it.
Or we could just kick them in for you.
Your points will be busy on the main deck. Here. Once you insert onto the station, its short-range sensors will detect you. You must distract the main concentration of their forces, so Star Captain Lilith can focus on reaching the orbital cannons.
Any idea who we will be facing?
Elements of the 6 Alshin regulars and the Second Sword of Light.
Time to get acquainted with these elite samurai.
Their manifests show they also have aerospace assets in reserve.
I bid a star of Omni-Fighters to mitigate that. Star Commander Joanna will activate and give you air support. I will remain on the ship as your eye in the sky.
You will be a sitting duck if any Karitan ships jump into the system.
If they do, our emergence wave will keep them at bay long enough for you to execute. Silverroot, let us get to work.
Alrighty, so we just heard about the emergence wave from jumping in here. Pretty cool kind of jump tech lore stuff right there. And we have this orbital dockyard turned defense platform, but not completely mangled in the process, which is surprising for Innersphere. The Innersphere does not have any warships anymore. They basically mutually destroyed each other's and lost the infrastructural capability to make them. So while yes, this orbital dockyard has the potential to work on and create warships, the Innerspheres lack the means, whether it's the tooling in these facilities or something critical to actually have it happen. They lack it. So we could obviously benefit greatly in taking this. Ghost Bear would be able to retool and refit their current warships and even make new ones eventually with this station. So that is really cool. We're back in Innersphere space, clearly, so in terms of timeline-wise, more than likely the trial for Portugal between the Nova Cats and Smoke Jaguars has concluded. Now, you might be thinking, oh, so Battle of Luthien is happening. No. The Battle of Luthien actually happens after this particular campaign. Not that it matters because this is a Ghost Bear, it's not like they're going to go to it. But, timeline-wise, this happens first, then the Battle of Luthien. So, we're in transit and getting prepped, I suppose you could say.
Emergence waves have subsided. The station sensors are now active.
So, as we hear, the enemy can now detect us and is aware of our presence, but it's a little late because we are on top of this thing. They're going to have to push us off by fighting us off, and, well, that's not going to work because we're here to fight them off, and we're going to win because we're clans, right? We're Clan Ghost Bear.
I am on it.
So this is a space station, meaning maneuverability is going to be limited, not just because of the fact that, you know, we don't have rolling hills and whatnot, we just have these little platforms, but also because we're in space. So falling off is not going to be good. I imagine as an instant mech destruction scenario. I don't know, I haven't fallen off yet and I don't intend to. We just have to maneuver and fire and basically take the enemy out. So my star is looking a little different from last time. I went ahead and modified the 7 Jaguar for dual ER PPCs, a bunch of ER beaming lasers. I have Nova equipped with the bajillion ER small lasers because this is the Ampsphere, so the shorter range isn't going to matter as much. Plus, this mission isn't going to exactly have the longest of ranges ever, you know, to achieve. So ER smalls are going to work just fine. And then of course I have the Hellbringer, which is equipped with ER PPCs and ER smalls, and I have 2 of those.
The next gate is dead ahead.
There's actually a lot of AMS here as well, so we are pretty well defended from missiles, not perfectly, but pretty well. We also have ECM on our side, so we're looking pretty good. The gimmick here is to override, use these override terminals to make progress through the station. We're basically sweeping through. We're on the defense platforms, and we're going to different sections of the station, and we're sweeping it of enemies. The enemies here are going to be very finite. It's not like they can just call in for reinforcements from the planet and they're going to just show up like it's nobody's business. It's going to take time to mobilize and get things ready to go to space. So whatever's here, that's going to be it. They have to either fend us off or be taken, right? And spoiler alert, not going to fend us off.
I have eyes on the next gate.
So we're moving
I know the
to the next gate, obviously,
Scanning for the override terminal.
because we need to just use speed. We got to make our way through to get to those power generators for the orbital guns on this thing, to make sure that they can't fire at our forces, and then you know, wipe out the defenders here. And that's such a cool skybox. I love seeing planets in the background like that. It's just really cool. You'd be like, hey, wait a minute, what's with these VTOLs? Well, these VTOLs, the Igors, are aerospace units, so they can operate air and in space. And we saw the Tiger, or whatever it's called, the VTOL Tiger, which is different from the typical like helicopter style craft you see, because we're in space. So there's that. These Igors are no joke with quad AC2s. You don't want to let them just hang around for too long.
On me.
Now, what I do like is that while this is where we have to go, I could have went down the hall for no reason just to check things out. So if you have no real rush, you just want to really explore, you could do that. And right in front of us is a jump ship, I believe. It's definitely some form of vessel. They don't have warships in the atmosphere, so it's some form of vessel that is being, I guess, retooled, refitted, maintenance, whatever. Well, it's a bad day for that vessel because outside of any potential stray shots, that's basically now our vessel. I don't think, you know, we're just going to let that go. So that's pretty handy. I do appreciate the amount of forces arrayed against us. You know, being still kind of the early game, the first third of the game, right? This is mission 4 of 12. You're not necessarily looking to face a whole lot of really powerful things all at once, you know, throughout the entirety of the mission per se, but we're past the baby steps, so I do appreciate that. We are on expert difficulty. Why not Trueborn? Because I feel Trueborn is like you know, fake smoke flavor on food. It's more difficult to be sure, but it's also just really artificial feeling in this difficulty, where expert at least feels somewhat organic in its difficulty, so that's why I decided to go with expert. Also, I think expert makes for a greater, so I have to say, better, when I say better, it makes for a better playthrough, I think, in terms of a series than Trueborn, where you are
We need to advance out of the
trying to
space
chip
station
them
to
down,
reach the gun
and
platforms.
that's it.
The route
We
to
can
the
be a
gate
little
is
bit more
lost.
aggressive here on Expert for the
This
final.
place built warships.
So,
Puritans are using it as a weapon.
we now see
Undeserving of this.
already
Or any other part of the inner
some
sphere.
repair bays, as we say that the
All of their ideas and approaches.
Puritans
they
are not
just seem
worthy
like a
of
race
this
to the
for any of
bottom.
the inner sphere, which is true because they do a bunch of bad stuff. Also, inner sphere can be pretty savage. So this is the first repair base of this mission. Spoiler alert, there will be another set, but it's kind of, you know, crazy in a certain regard
That is
because
why we will relieve them
we
of their
didn't
hold on this.
really encounter, in my opinion, a whole lot of craziness here. But it is the first third of the game. They are being a little bit more new player or rusty player friendly here, so I'm all for that. Plus, you'd be utilizing stock builds. Stock builds are definitely a increase in difficulty no matter what mode you're on. So, you know, because they're fair in comparison to the stock stuff that we encounter of the inner sphere. So, they're not max like what we do when we make custom builds. So I guess having these repair bays here, you know, also kind of helps with that. Now, one thing you're gonna notice, and you've probably seen it in the earlier missions, is that on top of just, you know, getting shot at by the enemy, you'll get beamed in the cockpit, and your legs seem to be target priorities a lot more often with Flash Storm's DLC. Not just here, but in general, both Smoke Jaguar and the Flash Storm campaign. I feel like ever since this DLC came out, that the enemy AI is trying to leg you or cockpit kill you more often. In fact, I had one mission, it was in a Smoke Jaguar campaign playthrough that I'm doing, where I restarted the mission because I just got beamed in the cockpit so many times that I went down, and I've never had that happen before. Usually it's like center torso reason is why I'm taken down, never the cockpit, so that's kind of crazy. So as you hear my star basically repeat themselves, we are facing a Sokol. Now this Sokol is a fun fight because it's got a bit of a different payload than we're used to seeing. It's got a bunch of medium lasers that it can constantly harass us with, and it's hovering over space. Like, we can't just maneuver as freely as we would like because, well, there's space there. You can't walk on space. So the platform we have to walk on is a bit narrower and only goes in certain directions. So that's the best you're going to get from maneuvering. But this is the only Sokol. Well, there's a cockpit hit, by the way. This is the only thing we're facing is the Sokol, is what I was trying to get at. So you know you get hit in the cockpit if the laser or whatever else it is, like, gives like a weird, like, melting effect on your cockpit glass, and if you get kind of blinded by the laser shot typically. I don't know about non-laser stuff, but I always seem to get beamed by lasers, just like that. Like, that was a cockpit hit right there from the Atlas. I don't know what it is, but the cockpit is a magnet at times. It's kind of nuts. So even though the door's open, I upload the code just to make sure it stays open. Kind of crazy to see an Atlas this early, but hey, we are in a more condensed DLC, so we have stronger mechs and we're going to be facing stronger things here and there quicker. And I'm all for that. It's a really cool campaign. I really like this aesthetic, by the way. I mean, this space platform is super cool. This dockyard, we have the space in the background with the planet and some nebula stuff and whatever else. We're walking around a purely constructed kind of megalithic structure here with our mechs. It's just really cool. So here we are. These are the power plants. These power plants look more or less like the fusion cores of a dropship. There's one hanging from the top of the roof area right there is being shot at right now. So while I deal with this Archer and the Shadowhawk, we are going to eventually have that power plant right in front of us get taken out by one of my star mates really quick. Just like that. And I believe there's, you know,
More guards up ahead.
no real need to worry because the clans can easily repair this stuff. They know what's up when it comes to platforms like this because they can actually make warships. And these power plants are defended by
Maneuvering first shot.
the combined ECMS forces. Light mechs, medium mechs, assault mechs,
Target verified. Going
you
weapons
name it,
free.
they're defending it. We've basically seen every weight class now on the station, but their numbers are dwindling. They don't have the ability to reinforce from a base, you know, only a few kilometers away or you know, a dozen miles away or so. They have to make do with what they have here between us driving, you know, ourselves right into the mission critical area right here basically, and Rook basically going, look at me, deal with me, I'm causing you issues. This station's defense force is going to be stretched, and we are here to stretch it
Will
until
not be
it
standing
breaks.
for long. Moving to fire.
Here we see a PVC catapult. These things can be annoying, but I have to say, this Evan Jaguar build is a lot of fun.
Chucked another on my codex.
I do like just being able to apply the big shot with the ER PVCs and then use the ER medium lasers to kind of follow up and further melt the armor. I'm liking it. As I said, when you take a look at this facility and how cramped some of these corridors can be, a crazy ER small build is still going to work just fine here. That's why I have two Novas with it. So we have one more power plant to take out. It has a charger guarding it, and this is kind of like an OG charger. It has these small lasers, just like it did in its actual original design. Friendly fire might be something you want to turn off. As you just saw, I creamed through one of my elementals with my PPCs because I didn't have them in my targeting reticle, so I didn't think anything of it when I shot, but I was very much wrong. So stuff like this is going to happen, especially in more of a cramped situation. If you're noticing it more often than not and it's really bothering you, you can make your friendly fire against NPCs turn off so that won't happen. So that's rather
Is offline.
nice of them to have provided.
Scanning.
So here's another, I guess you could say, dock of the dockyard. This one's empty. But we can see the sheer size of it. They really can fit some pretty big spacecraft in there. Starships, whatever you want to call it. Spacecraft, starships, same difference, I think. So we destroyed those
Against these serious
power plants for the orbital guns. So there is no risk of
never.
them blasting our forces.
We have repair bays here.
Which is good, because that would be a bad thing.
Patch up if needed.
Now, I don't know if you noticed on my Evan Jaguar on the armor kind of showcase there, but if you notice here in the battle grid, I have a little, you know, caution red triangle next to my mech's percentage of armor and whatnot and health left. And that's because I have internal structure exposed because, well, I've been beamed in the head so many times that it burnt off the armor and there's internal structure being exposed in the head, which is very dangerous. So I'm glad I can
We see
repair
more
now.
activity on the underside, Star Captain.
I honestly don't know why this is the case, but ever since this DLC, it's like the head and the legs are magnets for fire. But we made it to repair, so that's great. And I have the rest of my star repairing, which is also good. We're all going to be super healthy for the final stretch of this fight, and I definitely approve that message. So with that said, we just are now playing the waiting game for my star to fully repair. I don't really know, honestly, how different the repair procedure is for AI. And when I say repair procedure,
Roger that. On you.
I feel like it's just smoother now for them actually getting into the repair bays than it used to be, but it could also just be that the repair bays are just easier to get into in general, and it's giving off the illusion that the AI is coded better for repairing. I'm not sure, but I have noticed that they actually kind of repair quite efficiently, which is nice in terms of actually getting into the repair bays.
There's the gate to the upper deck.
All right, we are making our way to the upper deck now
Doors
because
opening.
we need to clear out the station of its defenders, and that's what we're going to do. So we're making our way closer to that.
More contacts.
Now this is an interesting fight. We're in an interesting kind of shape. I don't want to call it a room, corridor, quadrant, whatever. One of those dockyards. This one is also empty. But we have enemies coming in from both sides, as well as aerospace assets. So we can stay on this high ground. I like the high ground. I was indoctrinated to know that the high ground is good, just as Star Wars. So I'm adopting kind of a let them come strategy. In these higher difficulties, this is expert, the only thing higher than this is trueborn. But in these type of difficulties, you want to really leverage your range firepower when the enemy really is not going to be able to match it. Either with anything or with their really powerful loadouts. If they only have like one long range thing, then the rest of it is going to basically be a moot point because they got to get close enough that we can just either back up or start harassing them from range to make them soft enough so when they do get close enough, they're just taken out. In any case, that's why I'm up here on this platform. But it can make it hard to see it hit certain targets. Like this catapult survived really because, well, it's hard to see it and get a shot on it. But now that we can, that's taken care of. This is expert. It's not trueborn. Why not trueborn? I've played trueborn. I don't mind the trueborn difficulty. It is definitely difficult, but a lot of that comes in to the really artificial flavoring of its difficulty, with like shielding and whatnot. I don't know how well it's been improved because I haven't done it since like it first came out, but I did a lot of missions and stuff on Trueborn, on Jaguar campaign, and at that time, it just felt like, I would have to do like 4 salvos of like basically a dozen or so medium lasers to down a medium mech, which makes no sense to me. But anyways, maybe that's been improved a bit, I don't know. I will eventually check it out though. So that's why not Trueborn. I feel like the difficulty spike is a little bit more artificial flavor feeling in comparison to the difficulty and all-around gameplay experience on Expert. Don't get me wrong though, custom builds help out a lot, and using stock builds, I like stock builds, don't get me wrong, but if you're using them, you are putting yourself in a little bit of like a hard mode situation no matter what difficulty you're actually on, because stock builds are based off of the type of readout manuals, which of course has these stock builds to have advantages and be powerful, but also fair. So, there's that. We're not looking to be fair, we're looking to be powerful, so we do min-max style of builds, which is exactly what we have going on here. So, we're almost done with this quadrant, sector, space thing. I don't know what they call this area. Docking area? Whatever you want to call it, we're almost done here. This locust is actually the source of irritation because this is the first time I've seen it get stuck, seemingly stuck anyway, at this ramp. So what's about to happen is a case of a locust being annoying. So I try to clear it free, and I do. I'm like, great. Alright, now I'll back up and it'll eventually turn around and come up here. It does not. It stays down below you in this ramp. So, forcing me to yet again go down and deal with it. Luckily, it is a locust. Locusts aren't super defensive in terms of their armor and whatnot. And there isn't a whole lot of outright maneuverability, that can happen here with the Locust, so we're able to really put the her on it pretty quickly. Even though it's not acting like the speed of light, it drops rather quick. But now I'm all the way down here, and I gotta get all the way back up there. So the Locust, I guess, did its job. In any case, we are trying to get to the top of the station because, you know, you plant your banner at the top of the mountain. So we're going to do that here at the top of the station. We are going to basically get up to the top, force the enemy's hand to face us, take them out, and claim this facility. It's a simple, sound plan.
Stand by. Scanning.
So
Brace yourselves, Bravo. Going to override.
we are
We need to advance up the ramp.
slowly
We have contacts
approaching
waiting for us.
the end here. In fact, this is the
We
final
are
fight
going to
area.
secure the space station, Bravo.
Now, this platform that has this ramp, you could walk up as I scan the ammo crates. I really only scan the ammo crates to make sure the AMS is topped up. That's really the only ammo I have to worry about.
Star Captain.
As I, you know, butt heads with the Banshee, not the spotters move. So this platform, we could just stay on. There's no real need to go anywhere else on this platform. Everything's going to fight us at the top. We can just shoot in all directions and conquer the everything, right? Well, you could. But I do find it a bit easier to level the playing field, literally, by going up there with them, so you both are experiencing the serene sights and
Back to pieces.
the sheer cool factor of being on top of this
Turrets
facility.
will not be standing for long. Moving to fire.
To be fair, in typical MechWarrior 5 Clans fashion, we are dealing with a good amount of tonnage, right? We have a Victor here to take down, we had an Atlas, we fought a Charger. It's not like they're babying us with the mechs we're facing. At the same time, we're also not babying it because we are utilizing some powerful custom builds in this particular playthrough, and I'm sure your own build that you like to make use of are pretty powerful as well, if not the
That
same,
pilot
you
just
know,
ejected.
as mine. They can still be pretty powerful.
More reinforcements in
As you
the
notice, I really don't have much in the way of ballistics or missile equipment, and I don't really do that much anyway. I just prefer range weapons everywhere. No ammunition to worry about, we can just burn through them, no harm, no foul.
Brought that
Actually surprised that we didn't get the Marauder 2C in this update, this DLC update. I'm suspecting that the next, what's we're looking for, the next DLC expansion campaign will have the Marauder 2C amongst maybe the Stone Rhino? Who knows?
All threats inside the station have been neutralized.
So Rook took out all threats inside the station. I have to imagine that's some like hallway and like facility clearing out
The orbital
of
shipyards are
like
now under
command
our
staff
control.
and security personnel. We took out the mech assets on
I
the
will see
station.
you all on the
So
ship.
now we own this thing. Which is exactly how it goes down, right? We are trying to conquer El Shane. First step is we conquer its space, and we did. We took its space for sure. So there is my mech. It's not listed as critical damage because it was just the cockpit, but still, it is something that you have to be careful about in the heat of the moment. So, as you might have seen in the notifications for a brief second, the Timberwolf is now accessible. So I have the Evan Jaguar. I didn't get the Night Gyre yet. My plan was to get the Night Gyre, and then I saw the Timberwolf. So I steeled myself, and I decided to commit to getting the Night Gyre first. It's so hard for me to not just go Timberwolf because it's a Timberwolf. You know what I mean? Like, of course you get the Timberwolf. It's just that good. But I decided, no. Night Gyre's new. Let's make use of the Night Gyre. So we could get some Rifleman 2Cs. I just don't like the current pattern of Rifleman 2C variants that they have, so I didn't go for them. But don't discount your second line mechs. They are a way to increase your tonnage, for sure. And with all that said, we have just taken over that space station. Now we just have to hold it. So with that said, I'm going to prep for the next mission off camera, so you don't have to see absolutely every choice I make. And I will catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to hang out and watch this. Share your thoughts, hit that subscribe button, and next time, or until next time, take care.